Welcome to Copycats, the podcast uncovering the science and art behind copywriting and content design. Today, we are thrilled to welcome a true luminary in the world of content strategy. She is the brilliant mind behind content strategy for the web and the force behind the content strategy conference, Confab. She's a most sought after speaker, known for her sharp insights and no nonsense approach to content design. These days, she's leading the charge at Brain Traffic, where she's shaping the future of how we think about content. Get ready for a deep dive into the mind of the industry's most influential voice. Welcome to the podcast, Kristina Halvorson. How are you, Kristina?
I am fantastic. What an introduction.
I was
No
practicing for
pressure. Okay, I
days.
need to be incisive and insightful today. Okay, I'm on it.
I appreciate the credit for the time I put into the intro, but it's well deserved because you are widely recognized as one of the queens of content strategy. How did you get that title, Christina?
I'm sure I paid someone off a long time ago. Uh, when I, of course, for me, it seems like not that long ago, but for anybody in their, 30s or 40s, it seems like a long time ago. I would say 2008, I was running a small website copywriting agency and just kept getting pulled into these projects where they were like, okay, everything's done. And now we're ready for the content. And we'd walk in and ask three questions and blow the whole thing up every time. And I was just like, there's got to be a better way. And I had been calling it content strategy for years, interactive content strategy, because I knew what we were doing was more than writing. So I started, and the only people I had found even remotely talking about it were Jerry McGovern and Anne Rockley, who both were writing about it in the late 90s, early 2000s. And there was no conversation about content in the user experience design field. And I was just like, well, somebody's got to do this. Somebody's got to speak up. And so I decided I was going to audaciously write a book, even though I didn't know nearly everything I should have known before I wrote that book. I tapped into the assistance and expertise of Melissa Rock as technical editor, who ended up co-authoring the second edition with me. We made it red so that people knew it was very important. We called it content strategy for the web. And it was the right time. People had known something was missing, and it turns out it was thinking about words from a strategic standpoint. And that was kind of it. I mean, at the time, I was kind of the only one on the speaker circuit. And so then I launched Confab, the Content Strategy Conference, in 2011, and got everybody else on stage so that I didn't have to do all the talking. And we have continued producing conferences ever since. And that is probably one of the greatest thrills and accomplishments of my career, I think, is having the platform to be able to shine the spotlight on so many other intelligent, insightful, experienced, good-hearted folks who are doing really hard work. And in fact, we now have we retired Confab in 2023, and our focus now is Button, the content design conference. So that
Oh,
is
yes.
really geared very specifically towards content designers and strategists who are working in product specifically.
Got ya. Thank you for that summary. And how would you define the role of content strategy in today's landscape versus, I know it's a very broad question, versus when you first started?
You know, what is funny slash sad is that the core issues and challenges that we deal with when we try to talk about and tackle content from through a strategic lens just really truly have not changed. I mean, the platforms have changed, the speed of delivery have changed, the roles in which, within which we're operating, the team structures, et cetera, those have all changed. Technology, but like the core of strategy, no matter what kind of content you're talking about, is understanding what the root causes are of the challenges and problems that you're having and tackling those to get to better content. And when I say better content, I mean content that people care about and that they're looking for and that they need and that will help them get through whatever tasks they need to get through. And what I have found over the last 20 years of doing this work is that 99% of the time, those challenges are a lack of shared purpose among the folks who are actually doing the work, unclear roles and ownership among the folks who are doing the work, a tendency to put technology before process and people. So it is actually very rarely to do with the content itself. It is the work that we're trying to
Mm.
do around the content that is the challenge. So, what I would say then is that the role of content strategy, which has become just like sort of this, I mean, it has been for a long time, this very catch all term. So, what I'll say is the role of anyone who is approaching a content challenge or opportunity through a strategic lens has not changed that much, frankly. It is about like knowing how to ask the right questions, knowing how to connect the dots across all the different silos and people and teams who are needing content, managing content, planning it, creating it, delivering it, caring for it over time. Those core, I mean, we still use BrainTribe, we still use project process that we've been using for 15 years, and it still, is revolutionary for a lot of our clients. So, um, yeah, I think that asking tough questions is always going to be one of the most important parts of being a strategist within content, wherever that may lie for you, if it's in marketing or website or product or technical content or support or wherever.
Mm. See, my view is this. We say the word content, or say the phrase content strategy, and it might inspire for some people thoughts of a person, an overlord, maybe, who is responsible for doing all those things you described, right? So being an ambassador, being the person to have those conversations and try and facilitate change and promote the right way of doing things. But I almost think that even if you don't have that strategist label in your job title, you still, it's incumbent upon you to fulfill a lot of those roles. I actually think that within any design team, for example, or product team, you need to have that right mindset. Would you agree? Regardless
Yeah,
of
in
the need.
fact, oh, absolutely. And in fact, I may have misunderstood the question. I was answering the question, what role does content strategy play? I think that the role of like a catch-all content strategist does not or should not exist. And I have
Mm.
actually thought that for a very, very, very long time. Because what happened is I wrote this book in 2009, and suddenly there were hundreds of job postings for content strategists that did everything. We want you to do strategic consultation. We want you to do editorial planning. We want you to do information architecture. We want you to write the content. We want you to edit for people. We want you to host workshops. And I'm just like, yo, this is one person you're talking about.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't agree with you more. I think that content strategy writ large, everyone who touches the words has an opportunity to approach that process through a strategic lens, which simply means understanding the difference between a problem symptom, the symptom of a problem versus the cause of a problem, which means understanding who it's for, why they care about it, why they want it, and how they need it. It goes so far beyond the tactical output. And frankly, I think that so many people in content want to be seen that way and want to be treated that way and want to be engaged that way. And I think a lot of the frustration that we see in our field is that people feel like order takers.
Mm.
But in my experience, what shifted my career was just starting to ask difficult questions, strategic questions. So, yes, I agree with you 100%.
And by the way, you didn't answer the wrong question. That
Oh,
was
okay.
me going off on a tangent. I def You definitely answered the question that I asked, but then it got me thinking about the role that I've played earlier in my career within design teams, content teams, whatever the business, whatever the sector, and things that I may have done differently, and the mindset that I may have adopted, which would have helped me get further quicker.
Mm,
So
mm.
I'm glad that we're aligned on that one.
Well, I think that what is interesting about what you just said is this. I think that so many people get so burned out from advocating for the work that they do. Like, this is what we do. This is how we can help you. This is why it matters. This is why it's important. And they have their deck and they shop it around the entire organization. And then they're just like, why is nobody listening to me? Why is no one responding to this? Why don't people value what I do? And what I have found and what I often coach people is that actually nobody cares what you do. Like nobody cares. Like what they care about is what they do. And if you can go and also care about what they do and
Mm.
ask good questions and ask hard questions and dig into where their pain points are or what they wish were different, then you can like bring out, well, actually, here's a way that we could partner together that is very, very specific to their set of responsibilities, challenges, how they're being measured and their performance. If you just roll in with like a big laundry list of everything that you can do, people's eyes are going to glaze over. So that's that being curious and asking questions and like inviting perspectives. And I think that so many of us are just like, pay attention to me, understandably so, that we are just constantly like pushing our perspectives out versus constantly inviting others in.
Absolutely. Love it. Okay. Right. So let's address the elephant in the room, Christina, which is the emerging technology of AI and the role it plays and the impact it has on content design, on content strategy, on all these different bits and pieces. I'm not going to ask a very specific question. I'm just going to say, go. What do you think?
What's up with that? You know, I when ChatGPT came around and you just can't believe, I mean, it was not even 3 years ago, and you know, everything just like blew up, like literally, like everything shifted in a matter of weeks, months, and everybody had a hot take, and it was all I mean, it's still kind of all anybody's talking about on LinkedIn, which sadly is our one remaining professional community. But I
Mm.
digress. Um, I really for 2 years really just sat back and listened. I was just, I don't know. I felt like this was going to be transformative and I didn't know how. And I thought that there was a lot of bad stuff that could come from it. I was waiting to hear about the good stuff. I didn't want to be a part of or weigh in on the hype cycle. Um, I've never been that person. I prefer to like sit back and watch and listen. You know, it is incumbent upon me as the programming director for our conferences to ensure that perspectives in education were included. Uh, and this year in particular for Button, there was such a 6 months ago, there was still such a hard divide between AI is good or AI is bad. It was like, and there was no middle ground. It was either like, this is an evil technology that is like sucking, you know, the smarts out of our kids and is like plagiarizing our writers and is making you stupid and spits out, you know, it's bad, it's wrong. And then these other people are like, oh, it's changed my life. And here's how I've introduced it into my workflow. And I can't wait to see what comes next. And and even last year, Button, there was a whole conversation like, is it just me or does Button seem pro AI? And I really, in that moment, was just like, there's, it's not whether or not we, you know, as leaders back AI. Like that's like saying, are you pro mobile phones or not? I mean, it's here and it's impacting everything. It's shifting everything. And so while I have my own personal opinions about like where it's going and the challenges it poses, and uh, it has been heartbreaking for me to see the fallout within some of these organizations, you know, who are just like, oh, now we're automating all the stuff that we were expecting you to do, and we're going to let you go along with your insights and expertise and wisdom and legacy knowledge, which that's not working out very well, I will say, for a lot of orgs. Um, I did feel and do feel a very strong obligation to ensure that whatever it is that we are bringing to the stage is helping people do their jobs better. And part of that means making information and education about how AI is being used in the content design process, how it can be used, is critical. I think that to just be like, no, we're taking an ethical stand against AI is pointless. You know, I mean, having said that, I'm not going to jump on the hype train and just be like, everything is AI now. Give me your money. So, I mean, I'm a little bit skirting the issue, I guess, sort of, but in some companies, and I will say it's not across all companies either. In some companies, they're like, my God, AI, everybody has to use AI. We don't know how, but you have to use it. And like, show me how you're using it. And that's what your job's going to be measured on. And other companies are like, wow, we'd really like to use AI, but our content lacks structure across the enterprise. And that is terrifying. And if we stick AI on it, it's going to be a disaster. So let's take a breath, fix the content, and then introduce AI.
Mm. So what's the best thing AI has ever done for you, Christina?
I almost exclusively use AI for first draft search because Google is so broken for me at this point. So I will flip back and forth between ChatGPT, Claude, and Perplexity when I have a question that needs some deep dive because the tools I used to use just don't work. The extra layer of effort, of course, is okay, you're telling me this, and then I have to click through to the source. And I so it takes a little bit longer, but I do find that my searches are more robust, more in depth. I get better information, but it still is like ChatGPT, just shut up and just tell me the answer to what I want. Like, yeah, I don't need a 1,500-word dissertation giving me like every single whatever. I'm not great with prompts, but that's how I use it. I mean, when I first used it, I was writing funny poems, or having it write funny poems. I mean, but I also am not a content designer on the front lines, so I haven't had a reason to introduce it into my workflow. I do know that Sean Gibridi, who's one of the executive producers of Button, does all the tech, all the data management, all of the coding for the site and the all of that, and he really has leaned into it. But he still complains about that it's just wrong 50% of the time.
Let's talk about content ops because I'm hearing this term a lot, right? Uh, I don't fully understand actually what it means because to me it means slightly different things to different people. For you, what does it mean?
Uh, I used to talk about content ops like enterprise content strategy, which was basically, I mean, at the very core of it, it was like shared purpose, process, tools, and structure
Hmm.
across an organization for content workflow and management,
Yeah.
essentially. Purpose being key. Uh, and that just gets into largely like digital standards and governance around content. I mean, that's how I see it. And then I think in many ways, it's kind of it's a I don't want to call it like a holy grail, but it is a thing that very few companies I think actually like achieve wholly from a maturity standpoint, especially larger companies, because they're always growing. And I mean, people change, and that changes strategy at the drop of a hat. But that's how, when we engage with organizations through brain traffic on enterprise and content ops engagements or enterprise content strategy, um, we are largely doing a big chunk of our work is what we call a situation analysis, which is just to give them a third party Sherlock Holmes perspective on like what is actually happening here, because we often will walk in and it's a lot of pointing fingers and new technology that's being rolled out, or new technology that was rolled out that is now being abandoned. And it's never the technology, it's never the artifacts, it's always personalities, crossed wires, clashing priorities, and that's content ops is literally like getting people aligned on some of those core things, and then slowly over time figuring out how to operationalize roles, process, standards. Um, but I think, and it often starts and roles. Oh, I said roles, but I think that a lot of people oversimplify it. Content ops equals structured content and a content management system that can spit it out. And guess what? That has never fixed anything.
Mhm.
It's a big, 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 big undertaking for organizations, and it's a long journey. So when people are like, fix your content ops, I'm just like, do you have 8 years? Because I will happily do that for you. But it takes, but it's incremental steps towards change and improvement. And we've done some really great work with organizations. It's very, very gratifying to see.
Do you think it's always necessary to have?
Content ops.
Mm.
Um, I mean, depends on what the organization does. It depends on who they need to provide information for, both internally and externally. I think a lot of organizations have limped along for decades with no sort of formal approach to content creation and management. and they do fine.
Mm.
I think it is certainly a hugely competitive edge if your company cares at all about the end customer experience or employee experience, because it turns out all those people really, really need accurate content that they can understand and do things with.
Got you.
Turns out.
Christina, what do you write about for fun?
That's a funny question.
That was such a
I will
switch in
be,
gear. I appreciate that.
yeah, no, no.
Sorry.
I have not written anything for fun in quite some time. I will share that I've had some very, very intensive caregiving responsibilities with a couple of generations in my family, that really I actually have not spoken at a conference since 2018. And after speaking at like 150 conferences, uh, and I am just literally over the last several weeks able to kind of like sit back and go, oh, look, spaciousness in my life. What is it that I like to do? Because I don't even know at this point, and I can't remember. I will say in the past, the most fun I have had writing is I've written short plays and a children's play. And so I do think I would like to write another children's play. That's kind of on my radar.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I
Uh,
used to write tweets for fun. I was really good at tweets. Oh, I miss Twitter so much. Yeah.
do we still call it that? Tweets?
No,
X's?
no, it's posts now, I think.
Posts, just posts. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Generic. All right, fine.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, a different time. Let's not get political. So, when's the last time you were blown away by a really great content experience where you're like, wow, wish I'd come out with that?
I have talked about this for a couple of years. I am a T-Mobile customer. I don't know if you guys have T-Mobile as a cell provider over there.
Yeah.
They're a
Right.
mobile
Yeah.
provider. Yeah. And I've been their customer for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. And I have been so completely blown away every single time I am in touch with them, no matter where it is. If it's in their app, if it's on chat in their app, if it is shopping for something on their website, trying to contact customer service, the email alerts I get, it's like they have content operations. I guarantee whatever is going on in there, they have a very mature content operations, because it does not matter where I encounter them. It's the same brand voice. It's the same clear information. I can search for a topic on their website and it will come up. Um, I don't get hammered by tons of promotional anything from it. It's just like they very clearly have like shared purpose, process, guidelines, and governance, because
Mm.
it's just, and it's been that way for years. And I actually, several times on LinkedIn, I would like go find people and be like, hi, can I talk to you about your content operations? And they'd be just like, I'm sorry, who is this and what do you want? And then I finally met somebody who's going to
Yeah.
speak on a panel about content operations at Button. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Brilliant. And we look forward to
Yeah.
Button. Can you tell the people a little bit about that? You touched on it earlier.
Yeah, so this is our virtual conference. It's happening October 22nd through 24th this year. We Button launched in the fall of 2020. It was supposed to launch in Seattle. It did not. We have kept it virtual because we have active, engaged, enthusiastic, passionate, committed folks who attend from all over the world.
Mm.
All like we have people coming from something like 60 countries so far. And to pull that back into only an in-person event is just, it's just, we've talked about it. We miss in person, but this has not been the right time. I'm really, really, really proud of the program that we've put together this year. At least 90% of the talks, actually almost 100% of the talks are all proposals that came in during our call for speakers. So they're all community sourced. Some of the panel folks are by invitation, but they're all, people who've been really active in the community and in conversation. And we talk about wanting to deliver advanced learning for content designers. So this is not entry level stuff. I work personally as a speaker coach with every single one of our speakers, and I am constantly pushing them, get nerdier, go deeper, show us what's under the hood. Uh, and they get so excited. They're like, oh, you want me to talk about stuff nobody else cares about? And I'm like, guess what? You've come to the right place because
That's the
everybody
community.
cares about
Yeah, absolutely.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just not used to being surrounded by people that want to hear the ins and outs of what they do. So the program I'm really excited about and proud of. But I do, almost every speaker that I've hopped on speaker calls with are all just like, I need to be around my people. I can't wait for Button, because you get into that Slack workspace and it is just like you are swimming among folks that care about what you care about, who do what you do. It can be very lonely being a content designer, even when there are others at your organization. And the immediacy of that experience, the first time we hosted, we had never done even a webinar before, was just shocking to see how intensely gratifying and fulfilling those connections were that were being made. It was awesome, and it'll be awesome this year too.
Superb. Congratulations and cannot wait to join you. Okay, so on to part two of the interview. Kristina, your designer's toolkit. So please tell me about one content design tool that you cannot live without.
Uh, I mean, it's the, probably the tool that changed the content design game. So Figma, I mean, as much as Jane Rufino is giving a really great talk on how the tools are too damn expensive, and I think Figma is too damn expensive and puts up walls around the field. But yeah, that's the one.
Okay. One content design tool you could do with that does not yet exist.
An app that speaks whatever, that says whatever leadership needs to hear in order to like back the work that I need to do.
Superb. One food or drink that gets you going and helps stimulate your creative juices.
I have two.
You can have two if you want to cheat. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, a good, nice cup of coffee, of course. But then I'm a real sucker for a good, dense piece of cake. I love eating cake. So if I want to reward, or if I really need, I mean, it's not like I have a cake sitting around my house, but like that's a thing that I'll be like, it's time for cake.
I can't let you get away with being that vague. What kind of cake would it be?
Oh, well, there's two kinds. Again, I like a really good lemon cake, but it's easy for the frosting to get a little bit too like heavy and rich. So it's got to be like just the kind of like, but it has to be buttercream. So that lemon cake. And then I really like a good like white or yellow cake with chocolate frosting.
All right. Chocolate or zesty lemon. Okay. All right. Okay, Christina, part three, your unpopular opinion. This is where we ask our guests to prepare and share a controversial or divisive take on content design or copywriting.
I mean, I guess I don't know how controversial this is. It's something that I sat on for quite some time, because I didn't want to, because people need to be validated, right? But I think that the more we as content professionals talk in public, frankly, about how undervalued we are, about how burned out we are from advocating, about how unfair things are, that resources are, inappropriately allocated, that AI is coming for whatever. Any message that we are sending that we are like a secondary, that we're like a second class population, or that nobody understands, anytime we bring that up in public, it damages our reputation and our standing in the eyes of not only our leaders, but also our partners, because nobody wants to hear it. Like nobody wants to hear, woe is me, I'm so put upon, why doesn't anybody care? What people want to hear, even if you are exhausted, is like flip the script and be curious. Like anytime you want to complain, go find a piece of work that someone else has done around your work and share it and advocate for it, or hop into a conversation where somebody's talking about product and you either don't quite understand or you feel like you have something to add from a content perspective. Be constructive about it. I think that the just constant, and it's gotten better, right? I mean, but, and everybody is burned out. I do want to say that too, and it's gotten better than it was a couple of years ago. But like stop that. Like there's just stop it. Just stop. It's not helping you. It's not helping anyone else. If you want support, come to Button. We have channels for that. And you'll have some really good group therapy there. Trust me.
Get constructive. Okay. All right. And then finally, and thank you again so much for being a fantastic guest, Kristina. This is a section called Word on the Street. I'm going to ask you about your most overused word.
Right now, what I'm trying to stop saying is 100%. Like that is, I remember somebody kept saying it all the time. I was like, God, that's so obnoxious. Can you stop saying that? But it is such a great thing to like get behind someone and just be like, I am so with you. I validate you. I agree with you 100%. And I feel like I just say it all the time. And I need to stop. I need to stop.
It's like spot on. Or you
Spot on. That's right. Or like, why can't I just say, yes, I absolutely agree with you? Or, oh, that's so smart. Or even like, totally. I could just start saying totally again, like it's the
yeah,
80s.
we need to vary
Yeah.
it up. I mean, we all have
Yeah.
linguistic crutches, don't we? Words that we fall on. All right. And then the other part of this is if you could permanently ban or at least advocate for the overall reduction in use of a specific word, what would it be and why?
Impactful. Because I think it's just so empty. It's so just like impacting what? What are, what is it affecting? What it's just such an easy, it's just an easy out from talking about like what it is that actually can or should happen. Um, I don't know. I just think it's overused. And if you're going to say that something is impactful, like say why on the other side of it.
Is there anything else that you want people to know about or tell the world about what's happening in your world?
I'm really excited about Button. I hope that you join us. If we've got several options, you can come as an individual. We've got recordings only options. We've got really, really great team passes that discount those individual passes by quite a bit. I do want to also encourage you to sign up for Button emails because we have resources and we have more and more fantastic blog posts that are coming from the community that are just so great. And I think the last thing I would like to say is that AI is important. It is shifting, it is changing. I don't think companies know exactly what they're going to do with it or how it's going to, at the end of the day, impact operations. Um, Please stay curious about it. Please stay curious about it. Stay open to it. Play around with it. Don't feel like you have to go all in on it to save your job. I think that any of our work is largely, and demonstrating our value will largely depend on exactly what we talked about at the top of this podcast, which is learning how to ask better questions and staying curious about what the people around you are doing.
That's fantastic.
That's what leads to like better outcomes for everyone.
What a great way to end. And thank you so much again.
Thanks a lot for having me.
All the best. Take care.